our whole lives. What did the government give us? We are in a country of opportunities, endless opportunities.
We're very lucky to be in this country.
So
guys.
lucky to be in
Like,
Australia, and I'm very proud.
Thank
to
you,
say,
John Howard. God bless you.
Because I'm very proud
Bro,
to say that we're Australian.
I'm telling you, like, I came in
Seriously.
2005. I was 10 years of age, right?
Wow.
Nothing, right? No English, nothing. Dad started from scratch. Came as refugees, and Dad was like, "This is land of opportunities.
Now,
Take it and do what you gotta do."
because I don't
Okay.
say that I'm coming
you
from.
really did. You're
Yeah,
witness
there you
to that.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, we have been blessed. We have really great parents. So we have to spread the good word. We have to set a good example.
Yes.
And these are issues that we've got to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Because all these new refugees that are coming around, all these migrants, dude, they're so lost.
I'll tell you. Yeah.
So I keep
Bro.
going. He's like, I'll tell you. Okay, well, keep going. Please keep
I was
talking.
gonna say, you know what it is, because I can imagine it would be so hard coming to a foreign country, and then
Leaving your family behind.
leaving part of. I mean, they may feel. I'm not saying that our identity lies solely from where we originate, but you'd feel that you've lost part of your identity.
Oh yeah,
So you're
Dad
trying
was
to
like,
find yourself again.
I was broken when I left my country.
No, but what I'm trying to say is like, okay, for your dad, for someone like you, thank God, who has come from a solid home,
Yeah, absolutely.
rooted in
Culture,
in reason, in
tradition.
culture, in logic,
And faith, absolutely
in
too.
faith,
Yeah.
all of that, exactly, good, important. You were blessed to not be deterred by the world, by the
Western
Australian, the Western
Thank you.
culture of Australia. Sorry, I keep moving. From
No,
the mic.
it's all right, because I can relate to that as well.
But
Yep.
some people who may not have come from solid homes, maybe broken homes, or where there's a lot of, kind of like frustration in the family. They've come to a country with no family. They may feel like they're losing their culture and their identity because it may have been solely rooted in where they originate.
Yeah, yeah. And especially the older they come, the more harder it
Where
is.
are they going to find their identity? From the world. And that's why I think further to that, and I know I might be going on a bit of a tangent, our identity should be found in God. If our identity is not found in God, then tell me what happens when you move away from your country and go to a country, let's say, or if your identity is found in your work or in a person, in your spouse, in whoever, whatever it may be. When all of those things fade away or things may happen, suffering may happen, and that goes away, then you're lost. So I think that's why I say that, you made a good point. Like, you're here to spread the good word, truth, that openness for us to, go into what is true, and basically kind of like inform people in society that you don't need to just be fed by, like, don't just, there's not only one way, and the only way isn't what society tells you. Like, there is objective truth. There is realities, and I think I got on a bit of a thing.
No,
but I think I was just trying to go off like
You're
what
right.
you were saying about
You're right, 'cause I had my
purpose here. And yeah.
Like, I had my own experience when I did med school. I was up in Gold Coast, and at that time I was quite young. I was still young, so I sort of did drift apart for a bit. And I remember I mixed up with the wrong crowd. But
sometimes that happens so that you can seek truth.
Exactly, but then it was
so
necessary
that
because
you
I came back here. I was able to sort of reestablish my faith, reestablish certain aspects of life, I guess, and also really understand what was important to me. And I loved what I went through because it changed me as a person, right? Not everyone has that luxury. I think the more sheltered you are, it's also quite dangerous. So you still, I think, as a man, yes, go out there, experience, learn, make mistakes, but don't make detrimental mistakes that will destroy your identity and your soul per se. That's what I always say. Have boundaries.
But that's the biggest issue in today. Sorry, that's the
where do
biggest
you draw the
issue in
line?
today. Like identity. Like the biggest issue in the world is identity.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, it's not about anything. And for me, like, look at everything: homosexuality, abortion,
Yeah, let's
all
get
these
into
ethical,
homosexuality.
all these issues that we have today in the world is because of lack of identity. Gender, what's it called? What's that shit that's going on now?
Dysphoria.
Dysphoria.
It is.
What is it?
It's
Gender.
The last time I was
Dysphoria.
here, I made a point to the boys that all these things are these are like, we can't. How much more are we going to push these things are happening in this lifetime? Honestly, because the more we push, the more the world is already broken. The world's been broken for a very
It's
long
like
time.
if you want to talk about gender and identity, like the thing
Well,
is,
from the
people are
beginning of
mixing these
creation.
things, and it's like,
Why are we allowing young children to change their gender at a young age? Who are we to do that? They can't tie their
you're a
shoelaces.
primary school teacher.
Exactly.
You're part of a system that doesn't allow it. I think but
She's a high school
you're
teacher.
facing any of it at the moment in terms of gender identity and stuff.
I'm very blessed at the school I'm at. I'm at a Maronite Catholic school.
Oh,
so,
very okay. All right.
So they're very, run by monks. They would never allow any of that in the school, and so I'm so blessed to be working.
Sorry.
I'm very blessed to be working
We've
in
been
that. But
trying
I
to
know
get her,
people who do work in schools where that has actually become prevalent.
It's more of a
know
public
so many
school
stories,
system, I think.
but-
Is it? the public
yeah,
schools?
yeah, 100%.
And independent,
but
yeah.
also some Catholic school systems that are heavily funded by the government, and then you have parents who come in there and who bring their children in there, and they experience they think they're giving them the best education, but the government has really infiltrated the education. Like the education system is basically indoctrinated by the government. So
But then who's
society.
leading those government sort of policies? We have to
Yeah,
understand
that's
what's
a
the biggest
million-dollar
sort of who's
The
really
Freemasons.
into that. You know, there was a
Actually, I'm
point.
not joking.
You know, the thing is that like even if the Freemasons do have some, if you want to go conspiracy theories, yeah, Freemasons. It's all the end of the day. It's just like it's a web of connection that allows people to network, right? Network. It's a networking sort of
Can I say
society.
something to the people?
that's a very nice way to put it, but I wouldn't
I'd
say
rather-
it's just that.
I'd rather like from what I know, because I had people who were part of it, who like, and a lot of times I said it's just getting to know. I think as you go higher, it becomes a bit more sort of deeper rooted into certain aspects. But
Satanism, it's the
Yeah.
highest level of Freemasonry.
I want to say something to the
Freemasonry
parents.
is Satanism.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's secret society, and that the secret society is Satanism.
Do you have a lot of parents watching this podcast?
Probably.
Okay, parents, listen. Okay, I'm gonna be as blunt as I can. Leave the kids alone.
Should we leave the kids alone?
No. I'm talking about the parents that want their kids to change their gender.
Oh,
Leave them alone.
who are you to?
No, I'm speaking as a teacher, and I'm speaking like over 10 years experience. Kids don't know anything about themselves until they get older. Okay, I'm not saying that like changing your gender at 12 or 13 or 18 years old is any better, but I'm saying that if as young as when they start to, when they are aware, when they say age of 7 is the age of reason. But even before that, let them watch things that will stimulate their mind in a proper way. Get them off the iPads.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm being straight out. Get
The
them off
worst
the
thing you
iPads.
can do is give them iPads to just
Give them
distract them
books.
when they're loud and noisy.
They don't
whatever.
know. Do you know they don't
Yeah.
know these days? They don't know who the Prime Minister is, for example. They don't know where Australia is located on the globe. Because they drilled that stuff into us when I was in
I
kindergarten.
know.
Do you know what I mean?
Every time I get my
Like-
brother's house, they just always, my niece always on their iPads, man. Always.
Get them off the
Yeah.
technology. Don't give them any social media.
Yeah.
Let them be kids. Let them play outside. Let them ride bikes. The other day I was outside and I saw this. I haven't seen this in a long time. I saw my neighbors and my other neighbors' kids playing on the cul-de-sac
That's
outside on their bikes, and
You know-
there was no phones, there was no iPads, and do you know what? It brought me joy because
I
it took me
swear.
back from our childhood.
Because that's how we
What
did
do you
it.
mean?
Yeah.
The other day, my mum, she came home and she's like, there were these kids riding their scooters and bikes on the road, and thanks be to God, I was driving slow. I would have hit them had some salib had she been driving fast and they didn't move out of the way fast enough. I'm like, you know what, Mum, though? Thank God they're
out
they're out and thank God they're actually
let them see the sunlight. Don't you see girls like 16 years old that look like they're 50?
Out there.
16 years old.
Like, sorry, they look like they're like older than what they are.
Bro, there's 12 years old looking
Okay,
at
Makeup, touch up.
I wasn't allowed to do anything when I was 16 years old. I didn't have a phone till I was like 18, 19.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
I
I
agree.
have students. Year
Be
10.
yourself.
I promise you, year 10. I remember once I saw a few of my students like at this restaurant all dressed up. Like it was like, at a Lebanese like hafle restaurant kind of thing.
Nice.
And they were all dressed up. I promise you, had I had not known them, I would have thought they were in their mid-20s. Their like full face of makeup, the way they were dressed,
Too much.
everything, and they're only in year 10.
They look older
it's
than
crazy.
what they.
And
like,
that itself attracts issues of its own.
Yeah.
You'll attract older men. You'll attract
Yeah.
problems of sexuality. You'll attract
self-identity issues. Too.
yeah, and it's like she will also
self-value.
exactly.
And that's the biggest problem that we have in society today.
Especially in our community,
Self-value.
in our Lebanese community, the biggest issue
People,
self-identity and looks and all that stuff. Like, guys,
Bro.
honestly,
Or-
every second girl wants to get like her nose done. Why?
because
Unless it's a health issue,
mean,
but
the
I'm
devil
why?
Yikser
Yeah, I mean-
Utu, the devil Yikser Utu has brainwashed society, bro. I don't know how many long years, but he's brainwashed people to think that women, that their worth is in their sexuality, the way they look, and men as well, to an extent.
But can I say, I know I keep going back to this, but I really, really the root cause of that is feminism. It is. It really is.
And pornography.
Because, and I would say,
It's one of the tentacles.
and I would say contraception.
Yes.
Because contraception has created a culture that takes sex as
Transactional.
like more casual.
It's easy,
like,
accessible now.
It makes
Accessible.
women
you guys
think
are
that
against contraception whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
yes, yeah. But I say that I mean, like, putting aside my faith, just like using what research has shown and statistics, and that when women since contraception, there've been more abortions.
Yeah, of course.
And even Planned Parenthood, which is a very pro-choice organization. I mean, if
That's
you
the
don't know
devil
what it is,
itself.
even on their website, I think there's a platform, there's a part of it that basically shows statistics and research, and it actually, I'm paraphrasing, but basically says that the more contraceptive a society is, the higher the number of abortions. And so, and anyway, the reason why I mentioned contraception is because when you create a culture of sex that has stemmed from the use of contraception, then women start to basically identify themselves as subject to men. And so society becomes more perverse, which we've seen, and we know this because since the 60s, since the introduction of contraception, look at the fashion that has come from it. Look at the number of, look at the more sexualized society has become in many avenues. And so what do women then start to do? They start to define themselves as
my value is
our
in
value
the way I
is
look.
in the way I look, is in my body, you know? So
I think
My body's a tool.
I've always said this, and that is women is born with a value,
Yes.
and men acquire their value through life.
Look, la.
I do believe in that.
Wrong.
I do believe in that.
But why? Why do you believe in that?
Because woman's purity and beauty, she's born with that. She's not given that. She's born with that. That's her value, right?
Yeah.
So you got to
Okay.
teach her that is her most valuable thing in life. Her
Okay.
beauty and her purity is her most valuable thing in life, right? So obviously modern day has sort of distorted that. Now she's sexualizing her value, right? But if she understands the significance of it for bringing the true partner into her life and leading by example as a woman, right? Then you've defeated this problem. The
I'm not
reason why I
saying-
say men acquire their value through life is because remember when we were 16, what sort of value did we have? We only acquired value as we became more active members of society. We acquired jobs. We began to talk in podcasts, lead by examples, right?
The only reason why I disagree with that is because be a virgin, dress modestly, because I don't care if you're an idiot. Like, if I can't talk to you because you're like a fried muffin, I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to talk. I don't want
Fried
you.
muffin, baked muffin.
A baked muffin, a cooked
Like how
muffin,
baked
a
is
fried.
it? Is it
How
baked?
Baked, like to the point where
How
it's
do you
burnt.
fry it, Kath?
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I get it.
care,
I'm
I
just
don't
taking
care.
the
I
piss.
don't.
I'm
A
taking
girl.
the piss out.
The reason why I say this is because a girl isn't bro, men and women. You're not valuable just because you haven't had sex.
But we're not talking about that.
But all right, your purity or whatever it is.
But chastity. Let's talk about
Chast-
chastity.
my
Well, we're not
chastity.
I'm not talking about.
You're not
that.
talking about chastity.
Yeah, hey, I'm not talking about that. All I'm talking about is the idea of women sexualizing her beauty.
Is effed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's messed up, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So if you both understand, you both grew up to understand your beauty and your chastity is the most valuable thing in the world, right? If you grew up understanding this, then you will make the right choices. As a
You
Do
will
you know what
make
he's
the right-
saying? Do you know what he's saying? He's saying
I do.
men never had the issue growing up like women do when it comes to their beauty.
we can stuff up, we can fuck around, we can go around.
That's actually
Yeah,
very
true.
true.
And then I've only I've only acquired my value through my job and through my career, right? And as I grow up, I become more wiser. That is age because we mature at different
Do you know
ages.
what's a perfect
I
example?
want to clarify. You're not.
Well, let
you're
Brinda.
not denying that you have innate dignity as a person. That
No.
you-
No,
We're
no,
talking
I
about-
know
we're
what
talking
you're
about,
saying.
we're talking about
A
societal
perfect
values.
example is that if
That
we're at
you-
the beach, a guy can take off his shirt comfortably.
Thank you.
If a girl is at the beach, she can't take off her bikini. Why?
Because we're wired differently.
Because yes, and the body image has been created differently. When Adam and when it comes, if we want to take it back to religion, when Adam and Eve was created, Adam came first, and then Eve.
Yeah.
Okay, when they fell, okay, they covered themselves. Adam wouldn't have covered his whole body. Who covered most of their body?
Eve.
Women. Oh, at the
Modesty.
time.
That's what I'm saying. Modesty. The idea of the concept of
It kind of
modesty
makes sense now when you say it, because before I didn't understand, but now it makes sense. Men, but what I have to disagree on one thing: all human life
Is valuable.
is valuable,
Hey,
whether
yeah.
you're a male or you're a
That's
female.
what-
But
Yeah,
I'm
so-
not. I'm not talking
But
about
I
that.
get
I'm
where
not
you're
talking
coming
about the
from.
human life.
But in
I'm-
terms of as a
Culture.
as
No,
a, as a
you're
person,
referring to. Sorry,
as a person,
Brinda.
not gender.
You're talking about. You're trying to say that. Pose that.
Because we're
Male
hips,
and
valuable.
female are equal in
humans are
dignity.
valuable.
That's what you're trying to say, yeah? You said that you agree with that. So he's not denying that, yeah?
I'm not
Is that
denying
correct?
that. I'm not denying
He's
that.
just more talking about what status in society. Is
Status
that what
and
you're
also
trying
the
to
level,
say?
the idea of maturity for women. Why do women mature at a younger age?
That's very true. Actually.
Why do they hit the age of 23? And at that age, I'm like, you know what? You're probably at the peak of maturity in your 20s. Why does it take an extra 3, 4, 5 years for the men to mature? Because we've just been wired differently.
Yeah.
The way
Well,
we
but-
raised is correct. Yeah.
Like women at that age, she has to be able to run a household, have children, and understand her role. Of course, she has to. Why? I always use this example. Why do women only ovulate once a month and they can only bear one child at a time? It's because they're being wired in a way where she has to make the right decision about the man that she picks, the provider for her, the long
That's
term,
so true.
the
That's
long
so
term,
true.
yeah, the long term sort of, I guess, supply
Speak on
of
that.
security,
Yeah.
right? So she has to wisen up at a younger age.
That's
where
true.
a man can stuff around, can be an idiot
but
for
it'll take
longer.
him
Well,
time before he becomes.
Exactly.
He shouldn't.
But
yeah, true.
but
Well,
we're
he shouldn't.
designed evolution. We're designed just to spread our seeds and walk away.
Can I tell you where the difference
We can
is, though?
impregnate multiple women at the same time. We don't have to be wiser for this. The wise men are the ones that stick around and become good fathers.
I get what you're
right?
trying to say. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I see. You're speaking more from a biological
Biological
perspective.
and cultural
I
stuff.
want to speak on what you said about women maturing and that aspect of that only that one man and making that choice, that good discernment of that man. So I want to say, even biologically, you're so right, because Brinda, I know you'd know this, but I don't know if you remember the name of the hormone, but basically when a man and woman partake in the sexual act,
Oxytocin.
the woman releases basically a bonding hormone.
Oxytocin.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I got you.
So,
Don't men do
thank
that.
you. He got me.
Hey?
Don't men do
We
that.
do that.
You release
No, you
After the
don't.
act. After the act. Yeah.
But what happens is that in the
Sorry.
so
We kept like going at each other. So how she stepped back and you went that way. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, so the woman
I noticed something.
basically releases like a bonding hormone, and that bonds her to that man. That's why sex is not casual. It actually should not be casual, because especially for women, there is an emotional and physical connection.
Attachment.
It's just attachment.
It's a bond.
It's much harder for a woman. A woman gets clouded a lot more easier than a man when she partakes in the sexual act.
Amen.
Because she releases that bonding hormone, which the man does not release. And part of the man's DNA actually remains in her.
I mean,
Yeah, true.
yeah, I'm not
I'm
gonna
sure
argue
that is
No, that is true. It is
That
true.
is-
No, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
argue. That's true.
It is true.
that is true.
Especially
So
if there
there's
is
that. Wow.
semen, then you're pretty much
Yes,
done.
of
Yeah.
course, exactly. I mean, I'm talking about that,
Mm.
100%. So even more so, that goes back to your point about the importance of like the sexual act not being casual, and especially for women, that we are the way we are wired is so that the person we do partake in the sexual act with really ultimately should be our spouse, because what is the possibility that can come from that sexual act? A child. And that child, we know through civilization, not even including the faith, needs that security of a mother and a father.
A mother and a father.
You
Very
can't do
much.
both.
Yeah,
If a man sticks around and looks after the children, I think it's been sort of shown potentially good in terms of raising up girls,
100%.
but not raising up boys, because the girl's first love is always the father, especially if it's a good father figure. And then he'll teach her to have dignity and self-respect and all these values, right? I think it's a bit worse for raising boys, because the boys need the mother's love and attention, especially at the younger age.
That's why it's so important that a relationship has to be between
Exactly.
a male and a female. End of story. If you homosexuality pisses me off. I thought abortion was the topic that got me sensitive, but I honestly don't judge what you do. And whatever you guys want to do in the bathroom, in the bedroom.
But in the bathroom as well, I think.
Yeah, in the bathroom. That's up to you. But don't bring kids into it. Don't bring family into
Well,
it.
look, you've got surrogacy
Because
now. Surrogacy become such a big thing. Yeah, I want to have a kid. I want to have a kid. Yeah.
We're against surrogacy as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll ask you about surrogacy because that's very interesting. But let's finish off.
We're gonna get in trouble.
homosexuality.
Let's
Is
finish
that
off.
what you want to?
Let's talk about homosexuality, because that's an interesting sort of concept in terms of for them having kids. Because
Can I say something about that? I think people will get sensitive about this because there's a lot growing in our community too, unfortunately. A lot of them will tell me, I've met some, and they said to me, Brins, I can't control it. And I said to them, that's okay.
what do you mean
a
you
lot-
can't control it?
They can't control how
The
they
desire?
feel and the
Yeah.
desire. And I said, that's okay, because as a heterosexual, is that
Yep,
who I
yep,
am?
yep.
I don't know the difference anymore.
Sorry.
Sometimes I can't even control my own desires for things that I want or I need. But when it comes to the future, when you think about what you want in the future, is that going to benefit you in the long run, or is it going to damage you in the long run? If you put all of them on an island, how far are they going to go?
No, you can't. It's homosexuality.
Sorry, how far are you going
In
to go
terms
with lifestyle?
No,
They're
in
not
ter-
going to go anywhere.
in terms of like, it's the reproductive technology that has allowed them to reproduce. Let's be
what do you
very.
need? But with that reproductive technology, you need it. You need either a male, you need either a female. to
Yeah.
you get what
So
I'm trying to say.
put all guys
But
on one
still
island
that,
and
but
put
let's
what-
say
what-
that wasn't there. Let's say they're on an island. Because
But
I get
that's
what
what
you're
they
trying
do.
to say.
It always
And that's
existed
not-
throughout history. It always existed
Oh,
throughout
yeah,
history.
Homosexual- yeah,
Homosexuals
even in
always
the
been
Bible,
there.
yeah.
So
They've
Brenda,
never-
you're not denying
Yeah,
the
the world
existence
thinks
of
we're going
homosexuality.
forward.
Of course
You're
not.
you're
The
just
act.
talking more about
We are.
talking more about
No, I'm not denying the existence of it. There is. It's been in the Bible from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
times,
It's always
but
there.
My issue
Yeah.
with it
City of
is
Sodom.
my issue with is that as soon as they embedded it into our society, when we allowed it into, especially a couple of years ago, when they allowed it into the Australian society,
As in terms of the
everything
law?
the law, everything started going backwards. Everything. As soon as everyone
Honestly,
voted
yeah,
yes,
yeah, that's
everything
why.
started going backwards. True.
What do you mean by the
We're
law?
going
Because
backwards,
We're
we
going
are.
backwards from that
Yeah, but
that moment
The
because
world
I mean,
thinks,
I
oh, we're in the
talk about
21st century.
Same-sex marriage act, but that didn't come through, did it?
yeah,
The same-sex
Sorry?
act? The
Yeah.
same-sex marriage came into play. I'll never forget this. It was
Oh.
in November, I believe, 2017.
correct.
Like, is it now part of the constitution, or they haven't
Yeah, they can get
added-
married.
Yeah. So in
civilly.
Australia, it is legal for 2 males or 2 females to get married.
Married.
I swear, I thought there was
Legal.
something stopping them from, and it got
No, it's
reviewed.
legalized.
No, it's
No, it's
legalized.
No, I think, are you thinking of in America? I think when Trump was
Oh,
president.
you're right. The Amendment of the Federal Marriage Act in December gave
December.
same-sex couples the same right to marry as heterosexual
Wait,
couples.
sorry. Were you thinking of, because in America there was obviously it got legalized in America, and then when Trump was president in some states in America, he like kind of, I don't know what the term is, Danny, unlegalized it.
What is it?
Unlegalized.
Have they?
Illegal.
In same
Abolished it?
Oh,
Yeah,
they
same-sex
they
marriage
criminal
was
made it a criminal act.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Well, no,
Really?
Like
No, it
it
can't
was
be.
legalized, and then yeah.
Well, it was a
Wait,
criminal
let
act.
me.
I don't know.
But were you
Abolish is
referring
But
to
like-
that? Maybe it's.
But
oh,
in
I thought
Australia,
abortion.
they
Oh my
made it. They
gosh,
made it like
Roe v.
legal,
Wade.
right?
Yeah.
What are talking about?
I think
Roe v.
that's
Wade's
what I'm
abortion.
talking about.
Oh, that's
Roe v. Wade's
abortion.
So
abortion.
Yeah,
sorry,
you're
my
talking about
brain's
abortion.
so
That's
fried
right.
at this
The brain's
hour.
not
Yeah,
braining.
another coffee.
No, no.
You guys want more coffee? I can make coffee, but you'll be up all night, man.
Abortion was overturned in
Roe v. Wade,
America.
yeah.
The
Yes,
Roe
that's
versus
what I
Wade,
was.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Okay, forget
Not
what I
having
just
sexual
said.
relations.
Forget what I just said.
Okay,
guys. My
all right.
brain, like,
So you've
Frizzled.
okay. So okay, we know what's
Okay,
going on with
anyway.
homosexuality. Yeah, keep going. Yep.
Very different than to a marriage union. That's just something we need to put out there. When I was in 2017, I remember it was me and like my friends from the church. We were out on the streets. Vote no.
yes,
Vote no.
yes.
Vote no.
Yeah, that was
Brenda,
right.
and then
I think
I'd
I did
ask-
it with you
Yeah,
because I was part
On
of that
Cumberland
campaign.
like in the Arab areas, anyways. But I remember asking a person. A person came up to me and she goes to me. Oh no, it was a he. He goes, "Why? Well, what's wrong? What's the point? Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Doing what?" He's like, "Why are you fighting so hard for this not to happen?" I'm like, "Can I ask you something?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What are you voting?" He's like, "I'm gonna vote yeah." I'm like, "Can I ask why?" He's like, "Honestly, it's got nothing to do with me." That was the biggest.
That was
Yes.
That was the
exactly.
biggest
Can I-
issue.
Yeah, a
I
lot of people
found-
just didn't. They're like, it's not.
They
who's doing,
didn't
doesn't really
care.
matter.
But I told him, "Do you know
I'll just
who's
let
gonna
them
care in
do
the
what they
future?
do.
Your
Yeah.
kids."
Your kids is-
100%. And I remember a similar situation when I was door knocking as well for that marriage campaign. Vote no.
Door knocking.
Yeah,
Mormon.
door knocking.
No, we actually literally went
No, but
everywhere.
yeah.
and
Wow,
we did.
so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember a lady we came across on the street. I think she walked out of her house or something like that. And, we obviously gave her the pamphlet, vote no, and the reasons why, blah, blah. And then she's like, we asked the same question. If you don't mind me asking, like, what are you voting? And she's like, I'm against it, but I just think, if I ever had a child who was she said gay, but I don't like to use that word, who's same-sex attracted, what would I don't want to limit. And she's like, also, what does it have to do with me as well? Like, as in, if they want to get married, let them get married. And I remember, like, we were saying to her, well, like, when we make something legal, there are other things that have to come into effect with that. Yeah, thank you. Come into effect with that. And we mentioned how even back then, so this is 2017, Canada had already legalized it. And so we were going off, okay, what's happening in Canada? Because they've legalized same-sex marriage. They had already legalized it. And basically in Canada, we said, so in Canada, it should, like right now, if a mother is to reject her child having, identify as a boy when her child's actually a girl, like has, you know, the female reproductive parts, a woman, then she'll be imprisoned. And that stemmed from the same-sex marriage being
Legalized.
So where do you draw the line,
legalized.
really?
And because when, you know, then it's taught in schools. You know, that has to be broadcasted through advertisements, have to show that they're not being discriminatory, things like that. They have to be included in cinemas, in movies, and I just think, like, you know, and we see that now. By the way,
you know what? It's not fair. It's actually not fair. I'm sorry, but like, what about our views? Why is it always about them lately? Like, honestly, over the past few years, it's never been about us. And the Catholics are getting attacked at this.
The way I look at it, it's like
This is
literally
politics now. We're getting into politics.
No, it's literally like it's a spectrum, right? Most of us are like in there, in the middle, right? But it's those extreme ideologies either end that are getting more attention, because that's what steams the media. That's what steams change per se, right? We got to look at it is that the majority are in the middle, right? The majority are the very strict or very, very, very sort of. You right, bro? You can't just take the laptop charger. We're still recording. Okay.
Because you're so hot.
Love you, bro. Don't fail exams.
No homo.
But I think...
Shout out to all the HSC students.
Straight up. Wow.
Is he HSC?
He's HSC. I remember that time. I lost 3 kilos, man. I lost 3 kilos in that 1 week of HSC. So much stress.
See how much stress they put on us back in the days?
Let's not deviate, guys.
Okay, sorry. Good luck, bro.
Me and her cousin were playing like Mario Kart every day. Before the HSC, we were playing Super Smash.
I used to come with your backpack walking to my cousin's house.
Right.
Yeah, guess with what in it?
Mario Kart. And was it your
With
Wii?
my Wii U.
Oh my god.
My Wii U.
Because I wish I didn't care like that. I wish.
You were playing.
We were fried.
COD and Mario Kart.
I'd wake up at like 3 p.m. and study all the way to 4 a.m. and then just repeat cycle for like 2 weeks straight. It was crazy. But hey, we got through it.
Anyway.
Anyways, what are we talking? Yeah, so it's the extreme ends of the spectrum that really end up like
Clashing.
not clashing, but rather boosting the media, boosting the current sort of political sort of agendas. Because if you win those people over, right, the majority you've already won those in the middle. You've already won them. You don't care about them. But if you're winning those hot topics out there, you're winning parliamentary sort of spots. That's the difference.
Politics.
There's one thing I got to say
course.
about it. Sorry, Kathleen. I think the one thing I will stand by until I die is the fact that we're still the majority and they are the minority.
Yeah.
The only problem is social media has made it a trend. Homosexuality is a trend. It's as simple as that. It's not even a thing. It's not a natural thing. I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but it's not natural. It's a trend. A lot of people are choosing to be gay rather than going by what they're actually feeling, which is messed up.
Well, I think
it's a full trend. I'm sorry.
I mean, look. We can definitely say we can.
Come back to. That's why I was talking about. Sorry, that's why I was wanted to talk about security in yourself, being secure in yourself.
Yeah.
That's where it comes to. That's where relationships need. Finish what you're gonna do. We'll go back to the security.
I was gonna say, what were you just saying?
I said that we're still the majority and that they are the minority. And
It's a
unfortunately,
trend.
the social media stand by them.
Yeah, I was going to say that, look, there is no, we know that no one is born same-sex attracted. Okay. And psychology teaches us as well that it is something that is developed. It is something that is developed due to the environment or maybe, you know, and sometimes, I mean, like, yeah.
There is no gay gene per se.
Yeah, there's no gay gene. There isn't. Yeah. But this isn't to obliterate people who have those genuine those desires for the same sex, but this is just to give context, because I think the media lies, like, or the media sometimes deceives in the sense they might not say a complete lie, but they'll put it in a way where you are forced to think a certain way to believe that okay, someone is born that way, you know. Propaganda. And then I think, like, you know, psychology, I was listening to a podcast actually, and I can get the name of the priest. I forgot his name, but he was talking. He's a now priest, and he was talking about when he was doing his final year, he had to specialize in a particular area to, I guess, help people pastorally, and so he decided to do it on same-sex attraction because he saw that he had witnessed someone in his family who had recently come out as same-sex attracted, and he also saw it as something that was trending. So he wanted to be able to know as much of it as can, not be ignorant, but know as much as he can so that he can help, those who struggle with same-sex attraction. And he got into the psychology of it. Behind it, and he was talking about how each of us are given, like we're kind of like given God-given temperaments in a way, okay, and then like so a child, even as like he went back to, he spoke about a child in the womb, starts to develop a familiarity with the voice of the mother. And then as they're born, that child is then at a certain number of months is able to distinguish between the voice of the mother and the voice of the father. And if the voice of the father is very overpowering and aggressive and dominant, we're not talking about that masculine tone, but like at a certain number of months, that child psychologically has this already like sense of like inbuilt kind of fear or kind of, and then if that child grows, let's say a boy goes to school and let's say, is getting bullied at school and then comes home and the father, comes home and says, oh, Dad, look at what I did today. And then the father rejects that young boy. That can already input a bit of like sense of like wound, that father wound, and depending on that child's temperament, they can respond to that wound in a different way, and so that can affect that how that person what that person ultimately desires, okay, the kind of sex they desire. Yeah, right. Either same sex, opposite sex, that kind of thing, and he got into it deep. But just to give context, that this has been something that has been really research into, and there's a lot of it's mainly psychological, but this isn't to deny that there are genuine desires there. Like I know of people, I have a few friends who are same sex attracted. And I hate to even say gay or lesbian, or it's more like
sorry. I'm gonna get myself bashed straight up. Cut this out.
That's one thing that has not changed about Danny.
He's unfiltered. He doesn't give a shit. Unfiltered.
I'm too honest.
No, sorry.
But I don't want to. We don't want to. Like the reason why I don't like to call someone gay or lesbian is not because I'm scared or I'm like this frigid kind of person that just is denying that there is.
Sorry. I'm so bad. Go again.
Cut that one out.
Oh my god.
All right.
Okay, wait. I'm trying to get to something.
Let her get to her point.
I love Cubs. Let her get to something. Yeah, guys, come on.
I'm gonna go bathroom. I'll be back. Catherine, you continue talking.
All right, it's around and left. No, right and right. So just like you'll find it. All right.
I can't breathe. That was so funny.
Anyway, the reason why I don't like to label people as such is because I don't go around saying that I'm a heterosexual. And I think when we put labels and identify ourselves as that, then that becomes our identity. And I think so, all right, I'm going to say, okay, same-sex attracted. People who are same-sex attracted. But like, this is the issue, is that a lot of people think, like, I mean, I don't know, we can talk about this a bit more. I want to, like, you guys to think about what you think. What I want to hear what you have to say about this, but, like, you know, like, people who are same-sex attracted and hear this might think, okay, I get what you're trying to say. The desire is there. Obviously, you don't believe we should partake in, let's say, homosexual acts. But what do? I have this desire for the same sex, you know? And so I think society tells us that there's only one way, that you have to come out and embrace it and celebrate it, and that's the only way that you're going to find freedom in it. So I think, like, that's obviously not, that's really not, because I know a few people who have done that, and they haven't found true peace in it. And I don't think, like, I mean,
it's a hard one.
So
I think,
what would you say, Brinda?
I think it is hard. And I promise you, I actually don't mean to be insensitive. This podcast.
I know. I'm thinking about it. That's why I'm like, I've got my head down, because I'm like, I don't like, if you are
religiously for us, it's a sin.
Yeah,
okay?
of course. Same
we all
here.
know
Same
that.
here.
We know
The desire isn't a sin. That desire, same as, like, for example, what you said, that heterosexual, that we are attracted to the opposite sex, but we same as us now, who are women who are attracted to the opposite sex. We don't have sex. This isn't to, like, because we're not married.
Yep.
This isn't to say that, okay.
Walk in front of the camera.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you know, that calling for chastity really is on us as well. Like, it's, you know,
it goes all avenues, babe. I think like, honestly, like, I don't mean to be rude. I really don't. But I think it's not natural. I think that it is a sin. I think that if you love God,
what's a sin?
The act itself.
Okay.
But if you love God, and I don't get why people don't love Him. I think He's amazing. But if you love God and you want to put Him as your first, you have to put your desires aside. It's as simple as that. And when you start controlling society when it comes to family and breaking down that natural element of what a family is, look what's happened in the past few years alone since we allowed same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage, abortion, euthanasia.
We have an anti-conversion bill that has...
Contraception.
It came into play that has been legalised now, similar to Canada. A parent cannot... if you're... this relates to us, Brinda, because we're teachers. So even though we're not parents, teachers, counsellors, parents, if a child comes and says, I identify as a boy when they're actually a girl...
What are you meant to do?
We cannot in any way, by law now, we cannot deter them in any kind of way. And if we're caught, we can be imprisoned.
It should be criminal.
That's actually...
It should be criminal
But you're a lawyer, man. How are you going to represent these sort of cases?
I mean, you can turn cases if you want. You don't have to do those kind of cases, do you?
What's your law, by the way? Are you criminal?
I'm a criminal, yeah. Criminal lawyer. Because I will, if I ever get any of those cases, I'm going full throttle. But I would hope that you're going to have big money for something like that. Big money, because what's going to happen is the local court, you're going to get pumped. District court, you're going to get pumped. It's going to have to go straight to the High Court.
High Court of Appeal, probably.
So that a precedent's going to be made for something like this. And I will fight so hard for something like this. It should be criminal.
Like, as in, if a child comes out and be like, hey, I identify this one, but my teacher said otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the teacher...
It should be criminal to support... It's gender.
But couldn't it be criminal for the parent to, like, allow these things to happen to their child, like putting stuff in their bodies?
Really, it should be. It should be a crime.
It should be.
I'm sorry, it is.
Of course, we agree on that. But society, you take says it's a crime.
You take like the mother gets worried.
Support them.
There's this chat from England. What's his name? Peter Morgan, is it?
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah,
he had a mother on once, and she was arguing. Right, we'll finish off soon. By the way, heading into 2 hours already. Jesus, another 2 hours. The discussion was along the sides of the mother saying that her child at the age of 11 or 12 has already identified as something else. And she's saying that I'm helping them transition. So Piers Morgan just went ahead. He's like, so you're lying. This is what you want, not what your child wants.
What a gun.
And she's like, and then I think she just sort of got shut down. He's like, wait, and he's like, from what you're telling me, I had children at the age of 11 and 10. What the hell did they know? They knew anything about their sexuality. This is what you want. You're pushing your agenda again onto the children.
It gives them that fame, that attention that a lot of people don't have anymore. Because of social media, parents have become so immature.
Oh my god!
But this
You are more immature than my 5-year-old. Like, as in at school. Like, seriously, like, that's why I was saying before to the parents, like, if you're watching this, like, please, like, act like parents. Like, it's as simple as that. If you want your child to, like, get bullied,
Yep.
and honestly, do you know what? There's a campaign on Instagram. It says to bring back bullying. As sad as that sounds, that sounds, you need it. Like, I can see where they're coming from. Bring it back.
Bring back bullying, man.
Not in a sense where, like obviously, I'm totally
Like
against
mental
physical,
sort of.
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
these things, it's true.
Sensitive as a culture.
We are.
Yeah.
We are because
We're
we
very
become emotionalized. We become very.
Men are being taught to be more emotional, which is by far the worst thing ever. Don't do that. And women are taught to, you're allowed to share your emotions all the time. Which, okay, you know what? I still don't think that's possible because a lot of times anything that's driven emotionally is not really rational.
That's
right?
true.
So I always say that I'm like,
time
no,
and
we
place.
shouldn't be becoming
There's a time and
sensitive.
place.
There's one more thing I want to talk about before we cut this episode, which is the surrogacy. You guys said you guys didn't allow it.
No, it's a sin.
But what if it's like two partners coming together, like a husband and a wife, who for some issue she just cannot bear the children, but it's her ovum and it's the guy's sperm. We're just implanting it into different.
It's not a natural way.
What does the guy have to do? I just want to ask, what does the guy have to do to get his sperm out? Can you tell me?
You ejaculate into a cup.
Yeah. How does he ejaculate?
I mean, ideally,
He masturbates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like for
I
us,
think
it's not natural.
It's not natural. So using natural law, it's not natural. But secondly, also like our Catholic teaching on this, because we're Catholics, our Catholic teaching on the sexual act is that it's for bonding and procreation. So neither of them can be separated. Okay? And so what we see is with IVF is that, okay, they want procreation, which is a good thing, but they're separating the bonding aspect from it.
But what if
And then
like
what
you want to
is,
have
but
kids, but
then-
you can't have kids?
Yeah. So
Tough luck. Sorry.
What if you want to have kids but you can't?
Go
have
you
adopt.
can't have
adoption.
kids.
no way.
No,
yeah,
but IVF is different to surrogacy because IVF, all I'm doing is I'm just using the guy's sperm. I'm pretty much doing like external fertilization that I'm implanting into the woman.
yeah.
So is that still also considered not allowed and
Not allowed.
sin?
Not allowed.
I
You're
thought
taking
IVF
the
was
essence
allowed.
it's
away
not.
from.
No, it's
'cause
not.
it's natural law.
It's a sin.
Can we make
This
it
is
clear that the
natural
child
law.
is not the sin?
No,
Okay.
100%.
It's
And we
not-
were talking about
it's not
this.
the sin.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
and we
the
were talking
act
about this
itself
earlier,
is
it's not.
because if you're taking away natural law, what happens?
Well, there's nothing there. Like,
Now, when you think about it, like realistically, when you take away natural law, what happens? Look what's happening with families these days.
yeah.
Okay, so if you're taking that sexual component away from the families by doing surrogacy and IVF, again, no judgment to anyone who has done this, but I'm just saying
No.
that like you are taking something special away from, like something special.
No, but I'm saying with surrogacy, the woman cannot fall pregnant. Maybe, for example, she's had some sort of an abnormal growth in her uterus and she had to have a hysterectomy. Or the fact that she's had 6 to 8 to 10 miscarriages because she's got some sort of a bleeding disorder.
Look, I was
Right.
going to say this again.
So then,
Let me say
then
this.
she can bear children because she still has active ovaries. So where do we stand there?
Look, man, what was the point? So the point of, I'm going to go back so that you guys could understand. Contraception is a sin. Why? And I'm going to talk about it. I don't wear them.
Yeah, it's fine. We're finishing off
We're
soon.
talking
All
about
good. All
the
good.
headphones.
So you go around,
Go right,
and
then
then the
right.
first right, and then right.
Right then, right.
We need the bathroom in here.
So why is contraception bad? And let's not even say it's a sin. I want to speak straight logic right here.
100%.
Contraception is a sin. Why? if you just think about it, there's other reasons. Sorry, contraception's bad. Why? You look at a woman, okay, or a man, whatever. You guys are stopping the act of the natural act of sex. What happens to it? It could possibly lead to pregnancy. Yeah, because that is from your natural body. You as a total person have your fidelity. I spoke about this on the last podcast. You have your fidelity. You have to love the person, and you're with the person completely, totally.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
So you're totally loving the person, and the fidelity is part of it. If you use the
God bless
person
you. If
you are just using the person specifically only for your sexual desires, it becomes selfish, and you make the woman. Don't worry, I've got you. You make the woman look the man as well. So the girl is getting pleasure from this guy. He's basically just an object now, and the woman just becomes an object. You guys aren't fulfilling something that's supposed to be total. So now you guys are basically just sex toys to each other. That's one thing. Over time, it becomes worse.
Each other.
100%. You guys are just using each other for your own sexual pleasure. Okay? And then over time, the more and more you do it, the more and more the dignity diminishes in each other's mind. The wife looks at her husband as a toy. The husband looks at his wife just as a toy, just as a means to get off. So now, let's switch it back to the other thing. The woman's not just an incubator. She's not there just to be okay. She's not there to just hold a baby. You're not an incubator. Okay, you're not someone. Hey. Let me just put this seed in you so that you could hold this baby for me, right? You're not an incubator. Where's the love in that? Where's the natural law in this? There's no natural law because you're doing something man-made. You're injecting your wife. You're using the woman as and the man. You're using the man. Hey, I don't want anything from you. Just give me your fidelity. I don't want anything from you. Just give me your sperm. Hey, you are useless to me. I don't need anything from you. I don't care about you. I don't care about whatever it is. Just give me that seed. How inhuman.
Yeah, I get
Bro,
what you're
you
trying to
just
say.
diminish
I
the
agree.
whole person's dignity. Hey, what?
100%.
Aren't I more than just my
No, we're not
fidelity?
talking about that.
No,
I'm
but
talking.
you
But
know-
wait, but you got to think
But
about
you're
it.
trying- I get what you're.
The woman just becomes an
You're
incubator.
married. No, but you're married. You're
Doesn't
married.
matter.
Yes, but
Does-
I'll tell you.
Look, it's because after time, if you think about, I'm in my zone. After time,
What did I miss out?
you say you're married, whatever it is, what it is. Say
Danny's on a roll.
you're married and whatever, but you need to be looking at each other as human beings,
100%.
which
Even
is
in marriage, you can commit lust.
there you go.
You know,
You
Even in
can
marriage.
look.
So
Doesn't just because you're married, that doesn't mean that there's a tick like, oh yeah, free play. Like, have you seen those memes and stuff, those reels and stuff? Oh,
I don't know
married,
what kind of reels you're
your
getting.
marriage
I don't see.
unlock free play stuff
Oh.
like that. Doesn't work like that. And we were talking about it on the
Yeah, well-
on the last podcast. We were also talking about how people only get married just to have sex, but that's wrong.
That's true. Of
No, but you're
course.
married. Okay, let's say you're marrying the right person. I'm giving you a scenario because it happened in our families, right? Like they married out of love and they've tried and tried and tried,
Yeah.
multiple miscarriages. Just the environment in her
I can
uterus does
imagine
not
that.
allow it. So the next thing is IVF.
Yeah.
They're still using each other's, like you're not
Yeah.
using anyone else,
Man.
and
But
she's
you're-
implanting in
Yeah,
her. In her
but you're using. That's that.
But
is
you're
the
still
whole
using
point.
your
But
partner in
you're
that sense to create a
using
baby.
your
You're
partner.
creating each other to create a
You're
baby.
using your partner.
In what sense?
You're using. You're still the word you.
You're not using.
You've
Yeah.
become. You're
You want to
using-
fall pregnant.
you're-
She wants to fall pregnant.
Look, I know she
100%,
wants to
but
fall
then
pregnant,
where's
but
God in
she's
that?
using her. Look, the part. What?
I wouldn't say
Look,
using
I
is the
wanna
right
say-
word, though, right?
wait.
But it is that. But that is the word. Habibi, wait.
No?
Let me.
No,
I've
I'm
got this.
actually recovered from it.
I got
good,
you,
okay.
and I know what you're gonna
You
say.
got it, Danny.
But
All right, now let's see
The
what Catherine
problem-
want to say, and then we'll get back to the using.
But wait.
Oh, okay, yeah, like
Yeah, I mean the using is the problem. When you're using the person, you're basically saying that you have become an object for use. But when you're in the act, when you're in the sacred act of sex,
It
it's
is
supposed to be a sacred act,
It is sacred.
and it's supposed to be the pinnacle of love. the greatest form of love. Okay, between a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
When you're in that act, you guys are
Fun.
again. It's a bonding and babies together. Okay, you don't have to be having sex because you want to have a child, but you have to be open to the possibility of a child.
What if they can't have children,
Can
man?
I
They
say
can't
something?
have
So
children.
we'll get back to that. But
By
I
all
think
means,
just
that's look. You shouldn't go into the act of sex saying I want to make a baby.
How about
And
this?
you don't go into the act of sex saying
like
I
as
want
in
to
that
just bond.
solely being the sole purpose. That's what Danny's trying to say.
It's not
So
the
for
sole
example-
purpose.
It's not the
So
sole
for
It's
purpose.
not the sole
Okay,
purpose.
but
It's
what
two
Danny's
in
trying
one.
to get to is that if a couple use IVF or surrogacy,
You're right.
they're doing
Sorry, guys.
doing it for the intention of only procreation, separating it from the aspect the sacred sexual act. Being the aspect of the two, the bonding and the procreation. And so I want to touch on that in a different sense. I just want, because the Catholic understanding on this is that when a man and woman profess their vows on the altar, they're basically saying to each other, I give myself totally, faithfully, fruitfully to you, wholly, holding nothing back. Holding nothing back. That includes their fecundity, which is basically the ability to be fertile. So when the couple embrace each other and consummate their marriage on the wedding night, our Catholic view on that is that that's actually the wedding vows made flesh, that they are now expressing what they express through their words, and that vow on the altar, they're expressing with their bodies. I give myself totally, faithfully, fruitfully to you, holding nothing back. And so what happens is that now that's why the church's teaching on the sexual act in a marriage is that it is for bonding and procreation. So neither one can be separated. So it shouldn't be solely for I wanna just solely for the pleasure, for the bonding. That's a good thing. That's a consequence of that. That's a beautiful thing. That's a consequence of a sexual act. But it shouldn't be for that purpose, solely for that purpose, and it shouldn't be solely for procreation. You know, and we see that because that's why the church stands for we don't believe in contraception, because then you're making it solely for the purpose of the pleasure. And then that's why the church also stands with, we don't believe in IVF and surrogacy, because then you're solely making it about the purpose of procreation, when it's like those two should not be separated to begin with, because that's how God designed it as such. Because if you base marriage solely on bonding, if you base it solely on procreation, then it's like you're not allowing for the will of God in your marriage, that you are either using that person, you're either using them for pleasure, or you're using them for what you want for children. Those are beautiful things, but we know in natural law that the end doesn't justify the means, you know. So
Can I say something?
So
Actually,
I
sorry,
just-
Catherine, to cut you off. One thing that comes to my mind when you said that is that I wouldn't want my husband. It's like my husband's cheating on me with someone else.
that's
I feel
why
like
hey,
I don't
Brinda,
want my husband's sperm to be in someone else's body.
Brinda, can I say,
Creating-
can
But
I
it's your
say
egg.
something? You
Huh?
know the
But it's your
Catholic.
egg.
It doesn't matter. It's just like that was meant for me. And another thing on
Brinda,
top of
Our
surrogacy.
church teaches that also further to that, when you partake in IVF, in some sense you're committing adultery. That's our church teaching on it.
See, for
You
me,
know,
that's how I would feel. Yeah.
Because you're adding someone else into the process. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But this isn't. Sorry, continue, because then I want to say something, because I want to go back to what you mentioned.
And
before
another
I
thing
just-
is, like, we have to remember that everything happens for a reason. If there's a reason why this woman's not falling pregnant, there's a reason why she's not falling pregnant. We can't always use these options to get away from what's naturally not happening for her. There's a reason. And that's why it comes back from what I said earlier, is that we have to be careful with what we like. A woman has to be careful. If she knows she can't fall pregnant for whatever reason, you need to have that conversation from the get-go to avoid things.
But how would you know?
You can get
do
tested.
tests.
Would you go through that with your partner before getting married?
I personally wouldn't. I'll tell you why. Because
Because love's unconditional.
yeah, and I would leave it in the hands of God. Let's say if
That's
I
if you're
actually
faithful,
knew,
yeah.
like let's say if something had come up, like a medical illness had come up, which it was revealed to me due to that means I'm most likely won't be able to have children. I hate when doctors say you cannot have children because I think God is the ultimate author of life.
110,000%.
But
We never
and
say
when
you
there's
can. It's
so
like
many-
unlikely. We always say the word
Yeah.
unlikely.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, well, okay, beautiful, good, all right.
Just gives you
well,
more of a
anyway-
hope, you know, in the long
anyway,
run that
then-
is possible.
Yeah, hey,
Then
you're
of
the
course,
sickest.
if I knew that information, I would prior due to like let's say medical illness, like I said, that had come up and it was revealed to me. The doctor said, you know, most likely, like let's say I don't know, I had endometriosis or something, and you know, which may cause infertility. I have a duty, knowing this information, to actually, I have a duty to tell that truth to my partner, to my boyfriend before we get married, to my fiance,
I think
whatever.
you should. Yeah.
100%. Because, can I say, as Catholics, as people who are on the altar expressing our wedding vows, saying, I give myself totally, faithfully, fruitfully to you, holding nothing back. Basically, that's what our vows, paraphrase,
I've got
means.
something I
Then
wanted
I'll
to
be
ask you.
holding something back
I've got
if
something I
I
wanted to
don't
ask you.
reveal that.
If we are
But-
in the image of God per se, right, and part of it is the fact that as we progress through life, as humans, we become more aware, we become more smarter, and technology has aided us in living a better life. Isn't reproductive technology part of that then? We are, technically by example, we're just repopulating the earth by other means, still in God's grace.
If
No.
technology is
I
going to
would
affect
say-
natural law, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't
But it's
agree
not.
with that statement.
I wouldn't say it's not really affecting the natural law because
But a man has to
we are part of
masturbate to
natural law.
ejaculate for his sperm to be used. Then that is out of the context of marriage. That is wrong. No man. First of all, I'm just saying, even in that light, men like, you know, even in that light, what is a man doing ultimately when he's? I'm just trying to give another lens to it. When he's masturbating, what is he doing? He's thinking about who am I going to use in order to arouse myself. And even if it's his wife, then again, it's out of the context of the sexual act, you know? And I think, you know, it's like what I said before. The end, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when I hear couples want to have children. I think, wow, thank God they're going against, you know, the society norms. And I think it's so beautiful because we should have that. We should see that beauty in having children. So I think, you know, and I would say, even though as Christians we believe that IVF is a sin, I would say the child is not a sin. The child is a blessing that's come from maybe an evil act, sorry to say, you know. So that's not to you know, take away from that. But I just want to say that, you know, like I think back to what you mentioned about within your own family. You know, when we're talking about this, we're speaking about it objectively.
No,
We're
not.
No. But I think But I want to make that clear because I know couples within our Catholic faith who actually don't know it's a sin. They think like you know, wow, it's a good thing. I want that good of a child, and the child is good.
Subconsciously, they are diminishing their own.
And they might not even realize, but that's what they've been told is the next step. And I think I know so many stories. I actually, if you don't mind, I want to share a story. I'm not going to mention the name, but someone I'm friends with, I used to work with, she ended up getting married a bit later on in life. And I think I told this at the beginning, but briefly.
She got married in her 40s or something.
In her 40s,
yeah,
42.
and then she fell pregnant.
She fell pregnant. And she was told by the doctors her ovaries were blocked. She was actually told it's impossible for you to have a child. She was praying, her and her husband, praying, fasting, of that, you know. And about a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe even 2 years into their marriage, she ended up conceiving, and her ovaries were still blocked. Like apparently, like it was something like the doctor said it would have had to have been like, it would have had to have bypassed, like not go through the blood, something like that anyway. And she ended up conceiving. And you know, that just goes to show she was a woman who biologically was a bit older, like, you know, older in age. You know, likelihood of having a child is, you know, very low.
Mm-hmm.
And if she does, high risk pregnancy. But look, and she was literally told that she couldn't conceive. Like she won't be able to conceive, but by God's grace and through faith she did. And I know someone else who actually, within our community, who actually tried IVF. So for 10 years in his marriage, him and his wife were trying for children, and they could not conceive.
That's
and
a
then
problem.
they tried IVF, it didn't work. They ended up
Don't get
just
me wrong, IVF is not
surrendering.
cheap. Like IVF
I
now
know.
is bulk billed. It's on the
Yeah.
government incentives, but previously it would cost around, I think,
Yeah.
10 to $20,000
It's not-
around.
Yeah, but they ended up surrendering to God, and she conceived naturally. But I can tell you, he even spoke about this, that the emotions of his wife was crazy on IVF. She'd be
Stress.
normal.
It's
then
stress
she'd-
because
but-
you're
but-
inducing the
but
body
you're
to release so
inducing-
many things.
exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly. And that in itself says something, because he even talks about how she would come into the room and she would be crying for no reason. And then she'd come back in and she'd be laughing. And
Yeah,
and
it's the
like,
same.
you know, it
It's
was
the
like-
same with being
like
on the contraception.
contraceptive
So
pill,
contraception
which-
pill, they've tested women who are on the contraception pill. When they come off it, they tend to be attracted to a completely different person,
Yeah.
not their partners,
Wow,
because
messes
they're
your system up.
because it does it literally. So what contraception does?
well,
It just tricks you into it tricks your body into telling itself it's pregnant.
You're forcing, well, when you think about what contraception
That's not
is, it is forcing the woman, like, what's the word? It's forcing the woman's
Hormone.
reproductive system to malfunction.
Yeah, you're just telling. Yeah,
You know
literally,
what I
you're
mean?
tricking
So
it.
it's
Like
forcing-
this is usually the way it is. It's like the way I look at it. It's like you go through those phases, and these are like the sort of monthly phases, and this is the time when you ovulate. Now, when you're on the contraceptive pill, this entire wave doesn't happen. Your entire level is raised to meet that sort of spike. The whole month you're like that.
Yeah.
So you're it works well if people want it, and it does. Like you still have low amount of obviously like estrogen, progesterone, and it works wonderful. It works wonderful. I've seen the successes of it, but again, like it depends. Every situation is different. In terms,
But then also, I
I think
mean,
the risks outweigh the
what's
badly.
like, not really. Like you may get a bit of irregular bleeding. There are mood swings initially, but they tend to sort of like I'm talking about the oral contraceptive. I'm not talking about the long-lasting like Mirena or the ones that are inserted into the forearm or the uterus. Some people need them, like the ones that have prolonged bleeding. I offer the Mirena, which is a device that's inserted into the uterus. Lasts 5 years. It's in there for 5 years. It stops bleeding whatsoever, and it stops the ovulation, and it just you can't fall pregnant. Once I pull it out, her fertility returns as normal. So that's one example.
Truthfully, I can't speak on that. On the what's it called?
So there's the Implanon, there's the Mirena, and there's the combined pill. There's a lot of options.
I haven't looked into that, so I can't speak on that. Look, obviously, if it's used for medical purposes,
That's what I was arguing outside.
Our church is not saying that it's a sin to use it if it's for medical purposes, but I mean, we also know that the contraceptive pill is a case 1 carcinogen. That's a fact.
Yeah, it depends
That's a
at what
medical
age you give it.
fact.
It depends at what age. It depends on the risk
But-
factors and the age. So if you're a smoker, if you're above the age of 40 or 35, and you're a smoker above the age of 35, you should not be on the combined pill. If you have a history of migraines with aura, that's a class 4 contraindication. We don't give it to that because it increases risk of strokes. If you have a history of endometrial cancer or cervical cancer or breast cancer, then that also plays up with your risks. So it depends on which one and what age you're giving it
Thank
to.
you for clarifying that. But the very fact that is a massive side effect in the prolonged term of use.
Yeah, I mean,
just says that.
I when I give it to every day, I give it at least 10 times a day, and other times I run through the risk, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm happy. I'm like, good, no worries. You know the risk. It's up to you to do it, right?"
Yeah.
So it becomes more of people's awareness. Say, I want to not have kids. Fair enough, you do.
I think also it's like false. No. I think also I just want to think about how I'm going to say this, because I don't want to say something that's not right or not. But like the effects that it has on the woman emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's I know. I have friends who have been on the contraceptive pill, and they have gone through depression, anxiety. It's even affected they've put on weight. They've things like that. Like
there's too many risks, and we can talk about this for days.
Yeah. Literally.
We're on 2 hours and 23 minutes.
Just letting you guys know that what's the time?
It's like 9:43. I'm like, bro, we all got work.
We're all full-time work.
But honestly, thanks guys. Thank you guys so much. I think we'll have more and more chats about this definitely, and I think we'll end up building a bigger panel for this.
And we didn't get to speak about security. No,
You want to speak about it, or
nah, we'll do it next time.
We'll do it next time, and
Use
we'll
one,
definitely
whatever.
get a bigger panel, multi sort of faith panel as well, and I'm interested in getting more other faiths on there, because I think this is going to grow. This is going to go somewhere.
Inshallah.
Thank you guys so much
God
again.
bless you.
And it was a pleasure again. And
Thank you.
yeah, peace out, guys.
Thank you for having us.